In the neon-drenched haze of Las Vegas, where fortunes rose and fell like the flick of a card, the night of September 7, 1996, promised nothing more than the usual chaos of Sin City. The air was thick with the scent of cigarette smoke, cheap perfume, and the metallic tang of adrenaline from the MGM Grand Arena. Mike Tyson had just demolished Bruce Seldon in a brutal first-round knockout, and the crowd spilled out into the streets like a river of champagne-fueled revelers. Among them was Tupac Shakur, the 25-year-old rap icon whose words cut deeper than any blade, a poet of the streets who had risen from the ghettos of East Harlem to become the voice of a generation. Tupac, clad in a crisp white shirt and baggy jeans, moved through the throng with his entourage, the Death Row Records crew led by the imposing Marion, Suge Knight. Suge's red BMW 750i idled nearby, a symbol of their West Coast dominance in the escalating East-West rap feud. Tupac's eyes, sharp and weary from years of paranoia, scanned the faces around him. He had plenty of enemies. The notorious B.I.G. and Puff Daddy from Bad Boy Records loomed large in his mind, but so did the Crips gang, after a recent scuffle in the MGM lobby involving Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a Southside Crip affiliate. As they climbed into the BMW, Tupac in the passenger seat and Suge behind the wheel, the night felt electric. The strip pulsed with life, slot machines chiming, showgirls strutting, tourists gawking. They pulled out onto Flamingo Road, heading toward Club 662, where a post-fight party awaited. The traffic was a snarl of limos and cabs, the stoplight at Koval Lane holding them captive under the glaring casino lights. That's when it happened. A white Cadillac pulled up alongside them on the right. For men inside, faces obscured in the shadows. The window rolled down, and a barrage of gunfire erupted 13 shots from a .40 caliber Glock, ripping through the night like thunder. Bullets shattered the BMW's windows, punching into metal and flesh. Tupac twisted in agony, hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh. Suge, grazed in the head, floored the accelerator, weaving through traffic until they crashed into a median near the Maxim Hotel. Chaos ensued. Cops swarmed the scene, sirens wailing as paramedics loaded Tupac onto a stretcher. He was rushed to University Medical Center, where doctors fought to save him. But 6 days later, on September 13, 1996, Tupac Shakur succumbed to his wounds. The world lost a legend, and Las Vegas gained its most infamous unsolved murder. Detective Russell Poole of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department arrived at the hospital shortly after midnight on the 8th. A grizzled veteran with a mustache like steel wool and eyes that had seen too many bodies, Poole had transferred from LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division just months earlier, seeking a quieter life. Little did he know this case would haunt him for decades. "Jesus, it's Tupac," his partner, Sergeant Laura Kading, muttered as they flashed badges at the ER doors. Kading, a no-nonsense investigator with a background in gang intelligence, knew the rap wars better than most. "This ain't random. East Coast-West Coast beef's been boiling over." The crime scene on Flamingo Road was a mess of shell casings scattered like confetti, witnesses scattering faster than roaches in light. Poole knelt by the BMW, now cordoned off with yellow tape. The passenger side was riddled with holes, blood soaking the leather seats. 13 rounds, he noted, gloving up to collect evidence. Shooter knew what he was doing. Professional hit. Back at the station, they pieced together the timeline. Witnesses described the white Cadillac, possibly a rental, with California plates. One hotel valet claimed to see 4 black men inside, one wielding the gun. But descriptions varied: tall, short, hooded, masked. Fear gripped the streets. No one wanted to snitch on gangbangers. The prime suspect emerged quickly: Orlando Anderson. Earlier that night, security footage from the MGM showed Tupac and his crew jumping Anderson in the lobby, a retaliation for a chain-snatching incident months prior in Compton. Anderson, a known Crip, had a motive. But when Poole and Kading hauled him in for questioning, he lawyered up, smirking through his denials. "I was at the fight, sure," he said. "But I left early. Ask my uncle." His alibi? Shaky, but witnesses placed him elsewhere during the shooting. As days turned to weeks, leads poured in. Tips flooded the hotline. Some pointed to Suge Knight himself, whispering that Death Row's boss orchestrated it for insurance money or to eliminate a debt-ridden star. Others blamed the notorious B.I.G., fueling the feud narrative. Poole dug into Tupac's background, born Lasagne Parish Crooks, renamed after a Peruvian revolutionary, raised by a Black Panther mother in poverty. His music, raw and revolutionary, had made him a target. Albums like All Eyes on Me sold millions, but so did Enemies. One rainy October evening, Poole sat in his dimly lit office, files stacked like tombstones. A confidential informant, a former Death Row insider codenamed Snake, slipped him a bombshell. It was the Crips, but not just Anderson, Snake whispered over burner phones. Suge owed them big gambling debts, protection rackets. Tupac was collateral. Poole chased the thread. He interviewed Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's Outlaws group, who claimed to have seen the shooter. But before Gaddafi could ID anyone formally, he was gunned down in New Jersey, officially an accident, but Poole smelled foul play. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, LAPD's own investigation into the rap wars intersected. Detective Greg Kading, no relation to Laura, suspected corrupt cops tied to Death Row. Officer David Mack, a known associate of Suge, had gang affiliations. And then there was Amir Mohammed, aka Harry Billups, rumored to be the triggerman. Poole flew to LA, meeting Kading in a dingy diner off Crenshaw. Your Vegas shootings linked to our Biggie case, Greg said, sliding over photos. Biggie Smalls would be murdered 6 months later in LA, mirroring Tupac's drive-by. Same MO. White Cadillac, .40 cal. It's a cycle of revenge. But politics intervened. Suge Knight, imprisoned for parole violation after the MGM fight, stonewalled from behind bars. Death Row crumbled amid lawsuits and bankruptcies. Witnesses recanted, fearing retaliation. The FBI even probed, suspecting organized crime ties, but red tape buried it. Years passed. Poole retired in 1999, disillusioned, writing memos that accused LAPD brass of cover-ups to avoid scandals involving rogue cops. He died in 2015, mid-meeting about the case. Heart attack ruling official, but conspiracy theorists whispered poison. Laura Kading pressed on, transferring back to gang units. In 2006, she revisited Anderson, now deceased from a 1998 gang shootout. His girlfriend swore he confessed on his deathbed, "I pulled the trigger for the set." But hearsay wasn't evidence. By 2010, documentaries and books flooded the market. Tupac, Resurrection, Labyrinth by Randall Sullivan each spun theories. Illuminati involvement, government hits to silence a revolutionary, even faked death rumors with Tupac alive in Cuba. One theory gripped the public. Suge orchestrated it. Insiders claimed Tupac planned to leave Death Row, taking his masters. Suge, facing financial ruin, allegedly hired Crips he owed money to do the deed. The White Cadillac. Rented under a false name, traced to a Compton chop shop. Another angle. Puff Daddy's bounty. Keefe D, Anderson's uncle and a Compton mob pyro, allied with Bloods, but Keefe was Crip-affiliated confusingly, confessed in 2018 under immunity for another case. Puff offered $1 million for Pac and Suge, he said on tape. "We took it." But prosecutors dithered. In 2023, Las Vegas PD reopened the case amid new forensics. Ballistics matched a Glock found in a 1998 raid, linked to Keefe D. He was arrested in September 2023, charged with murder. But as of 2025, the trial drags, Keefe claiming self-defense in the feud, not premeditation. Yet doubts linger. Why no arrests for 27 years? Was it LAPD corruption, shielding Mac and his partner Rafael Perez, implicated in the Rampart scandal? Or FBI interference, viewing Tupac as a threat like his Panther roots? Imagine, in a fictional twist, a shadowy figure pulling strings. Let's call him Victor Slade, a music mogul hybrid of Puff and Suge. In this story, Slade, fearing Tupac's influence sparking real revolution, hires assassins through layers of deniability. The Cadillac Men? Mercenaries, ex-military, paid in crypto precursors untraceable. Poole, in this narrative, uncovers Slade's ledger in a hidden safe during a 1997 raid. But before he can act, He's framed for evidence tampering, forced out. Kading, going rogue, confronts Slade in a high-rise overlooking the Strip. "You killed him to keep the industry chained," she accuses. Slade laughs. Pac was a firebrand. His words could have toppled empires. But in death, his immortal albums sell forever. A shootout ensues. Kading escapes, but the ledger vanishes. The case colds again. Back to reality. Tupac's murder remains unsolved officially, Keefe's trial pending. Conspiracy boards buzz with holograms of Pac at Coachella, fueling "he's alive" myths. His estate thrives, poetry published posthumously, influencing artists like Kendrick Lamar. What if it was simpler? A gang hit, pure revenge for the MGM stomp. Anderson, humiliated, grabs his Glock, cruises the Strip, spots the BMW. Bang. History made. Or deeper, Tupac's own paranoia manifested. He rapped about death in Hail Mary, filmed videos in caskets. Did he sense it coming? Las Vegas, city of illusions, hides truths in plain sight. Tourists pose at the shooting site, now a bland intersection. But echoes remain, Tupac's voice blasting from speakers, defiant, "Only God can judge me." So, who killed Tupac Shakur? The unsatisfying, yet most probable, answer is that all these shadows are true simultaneously. Orlando Anderson likely pulled the trigger. Keefe D was likely in the car. They were likely motivated by the immediate humiliation at the MGM. But they were also likely enabled by, or acting on behalf of, larger forces. They were the instruments, not the composers. The murder of Tupac Shakur was not a single-event crime. It was a perfect storm, a convergence of street gang ethos, record label finances, rap war propaganda, and police corruption. It was a crime with too many guilty parties, each with a reason to ensure the truth never fully emerged. The Crips wouldn't talk out of street code. Suge Knight wouldn't talk out of self-preservation. Bad Boy wouldn't talk out of fear of prosecution. Corrupt cops wouldn't talk to avoid prison. This is why the case remains the ultimate unsolved riddle. Justice requires a singular narrative for a courtroom, but the truth is a hydra. Arresting Keefe D answers one question: who was in the car, but it does not solve the deeper mystery of why the system failed for 27 years to hold anyone accountable. It does not reveal who, if anyone, gave the order or paid the bounty. The shadow that killed Tupac wasn't a man. It was an ecosystem of violence, greed, and corruption that he himself rapped about. He was a product of that world, and ultimately its most famous victim. The case is unsolved because the true culprit isn't a person waiting for a trial, it's the toxic confluence of all these forces that we, as a society, have yet to truly confront. The bullet came from a Crips gun, but it was fired by the entire era. The mystery endures, a crime story without closure, a legend eternal.